Well, there were lots of suspects. First of all, when the metro doors opened, 6 people got into the metro car and found her body. And she wasn't dead at that point, so found her laying there with a knife in her neck. And the first person to encounter her was a military dentist. He got on with 2 of his younger friends. And he determined that she was dying, and he left. So anybody that reads murder mysteries is going to say, aha, the first person at the scene, that's who did it. Well, the police tracked him down. He turned out to be who he said he was. And in all the subsequent research about him, there were never any ties to the cagoule or even to the police. So that seemed to be the real deal. There were many suspects at the time. There were some of her boyfriends. The police speculated that she could have angered a lover, perhaps, who killed her in a jealous rage. Even her own brother was a suspect. And her brother was one of her best friends. He hung out with her. He did things with her. He was a suspect even for a short time. There was the whole Paris underworld. Because these bal musette, where she loved to dance, were not in the best parts of Paris, because she had this history of multiple sexual partners, well, that would lead one to question some of the places that she inhabited or frequented. And so consequently, the local suspects were pursued. The criminals that were known in the underworld at that time, they were pursued. Good Lord, the police even tracked down leads as far away as London. Even Scotland Yard was notified about the investigation. Even the New York Times reported on this murder. But in the end, it was the cagoule that kept coming up over and over and over again. She had a lover who belonged to this secret terrorist organization. His name was Gabriel Janté. He was the gun runner for the cagoule, and they were engaged in a somewhat sexual relationship, but he seemed to be not really potentially in love with her, but he was having a relationship with her. So therefore, he may have been a suspect at the time, although they never could really connect him to the murder. The cagoule had an official assassin. His name was Jean Filiol, and he perpetrated many of the other murders that the cagoule participated in. So he seemed to be the obvious person. And in most of the literature that retraced this story, the finger is always pointed towards Jean Filiol because he was very bold, he was very loving of violence, and he loved to create grisly crime scenes. And so many people believed then, and to this day, in fact, that Jean Filiol murdered her in terms of her connections with the cagoule. They suspected that they found out she was a police informant, and therefore they decided to get rid of her. The problem is that Filiol's modus operandi doesn't really fit this crime scene. This was, the person that killed Leticia wanted to remain anonymous and was very successful at doing that. So